It is a common feeling that the mind and body are separate but interlinked, and one affects the other. We hear every day people saying, mind over matter, or doesn't matter, never mind, things like that, just to indicate that mind and matter have a connection, but maybe one has influence over the other. The truth is they are very intimately connected with each other. When we operate as a living human body, as a living human being, we find that we have access to the bodily functions, the purely physical motor functions of the physical frame we call the human body, as well as access to the mental processes that determine a lot of elements of life, such as will, direction, thinking, making up one's mind, taking decisions, and even getting inspiration, even by meditation, getting into higher states of consciousness. So these two functions of human life are relegated to what is called the physical body or the unseen, more intangible mind. Now when we look at human beings generally, we find that the mind itself also functions in two ways. One, it controls the body functions without having to be repeatedly tuned up or repeatedly turned on. And some body functions it turns on after repeated instruction, and then it monitors what it has instructed the body to do. For example, the heartbeat, the breathing, the functioning of the antibodies in the bloodstream and elsewhere in the tissues, all these functions are taking place without the mind giving any volitionary or willing direction to the body to do certain things. Though they are all responsive to certain instinctive patterns, obviously the mind must give instruction. The living force, the vital force, must give instruction to the body what should be done. If the life force or the intangible part of consciousness were not to give instructions to the body would die and collapse and disintegrate. Therefore, these functions which are taking place automatically, we sometimes tend to ignore. A question has sometimes been asked, how are we sure that these functions which are taking place, what we call automatically in the physical body, are also being directed by the mind? Why don't we presume that the body, when it's alive, functions automatically in the area of heartbeat, breathing, other life forces, and only in the area of will, or where the mind has to think and decide, do we employ the intangible part of consciousness which we call mind? The answer is no, all the functions are being directed by the mind, because the mind, if it is trained, can withdraw from those functions. I have personally seen yogis who could at will reduce or increase the speed of their heartbeat. I have seen yogis who could reduce the speed of the heartbeat to so low you could have just a few beats in a whole day, and still they could survive in that body. There have been examples, several examples, and I have personally seen at least 2 or 3 of them, where the yogis would get buried in a glass cage with no ventilation, with no external supply of air, food, water and anything, and they were buried under careful watch and pulled out after a week, 10 days, I have seen up to 1 month, and they came out alive and fresh, and all they did was to control by their will those functions of the body which we thought are all automatic. Therefore, we come to know that there is a certain part of mind which instructs these functions in the body to go on automatically, because they don't need too much variation. When variation is needed, the mind sets up a pattern for them. If there is fear, then certain endocrines or certain ductless glands come into operation, and they release the necessary chemicals to enable the body to function more efficiently in coping with that fear. Similarly, when there are other threats to the body, certain other functions take place by instinct. So these patterns which the mind dictates to the body and are built into the body take place automatically, and we don't give much attention to them. There are other patterns which the mind adopts for a willing use of the body. For example, we want to go and eat our food, and we want to pick up the fork and eat something. The movement of the hand and the fork on the plate is a movement that is directed continuously by the mind in a conscious, aware state. This awareness of the mind that what you are doing is necessary for that bodily function to take place. We talk to people, we listen to people, we read books, we turn the pages, we attend classes, we drive cars and vehicles, we eat, drink, and do all these social things in life, which are all based upon a use of mind in a way in which it continues to know what it is doing and is not relying upon the earlier program it has directed to the bodily functions to go on.